It was a bright and clear afternoon. At exactly 12:29, the presidential motorcade made its way down Houston Street and entered Dealey Plaza. Little did they know, high above on the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository, an assassin had a clear view of President Kennedy as the motorcade passed below. Then, 3 shots rang out. And these are the bullet trajectory. What followed would spark decades of controversy. The bullet trajectories with the bullet curving through the limousine, the autopsy with missing signatures, and the infamous two-shooter theory, all of it remains a mystery to this day. Since the President Donald J. Trump has released another 80,000 JFK files, we'll take a deeper look at the Central Intelligence Agency alleged cover-up. More details, all in the video ahead. On October 24, 1956, Lee Harvey Oswald dropped out of high school and joined the U.S. Marine Corps, where he received training as a sharpshooter. Interestingly, on October 31, 1959, Oswald defected to the Soviet Union and began working at an electronics factory in Minsk. After a year, on June 13, 1962, Oswald returned to the United States with his wife, Marina, and their child, settling in Texas. Oswald rented at P.O. Box number 2915 at the Dallas Post Office under his real name, a rental he maintained until May 14, 1963. On March 13, Klein's Sporting Goods of Chicago received a mail order for a World War II surplus Italian 1891 Carcano, and the model is a 1938 rifle. The order totaled $21.45, $19.95 for the rifle plus $1.50 for postage and handling, and was placed by someone using the alias A-10, an alias known to be used by Oswald. The rifle, which came equipped with a 4x scope and bore the serial number C2766, and was known for its effective range of around 500 meters with accurate shooting capabilities up to 800 meters depending on the specific model and shooter proficiency. It holds 6 rounds in its internal magazine, loaded using a 6-round end-block clip. 1963. Leading up to the day of the assassination, October 15. Ruth Payne arranges a job interview for Oswald at the Texas School Book Depository with Superintendent Roy Truly. Oswald is hired as a temporary clerk for $1.25 per hour and starts the next day. Marina, Lee Harvey Oswald's wife, sought refuge with Ruth Payne, a Russian-speaking American, in Texas for several months. Ruth Payne took her in out of kindness, as Marina and Lee were separated due to relationship issues. Relationships aren't easy, not even for Lee Oswald. So stop throwing your toughest relationship questions into the endless void. My sponsor, BetterHelp, has a platform that can connect you with a therapist who can help you find the answers you're looking for. Just fill out a quick questionnaire, and in as little as a couple of days, you'll be matched with a therapist who fits your needs. If it's not the right fit, you can easily message or switch therapists at no extra cost. Scheduling appointments is effortless, and every therapist on the platform is carefully vetted to ensure they're highly qualified. You can have one-on-one sessions that are tailored to you. With over 7,000 reviews and a strong 4.5-star rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. And it's not just for romantic relationships. Therapy can help improve all kinds of connections in your life. Click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/AITelly to get 10% off your first month of therapy. Before the shooting, at 7:23 in the morning, Oswald arrives at the depository with Buell Wesley Frazier. When asked about a long paper-wrapped package, he dismisses it as just some curtains. At 8:45 a.m., President Kennedy addresses the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce. By 10 a.m., with the weather clearing, Secret Service agent Wynne Lawson removes the bubble top from the presidential limousine, Kennedy's way of staying accessible. Kennedy has made it clear he wants to be open and accessible. He prefers riding without a bubble top and without agents crowding the back of the limo. This is how the motorcade works. First comes the pilot car manned by officers of the Dallas Police Department. This automobile preceded the main party by approximately a quarter of a mile. Next came 4 to 6 motorcycle policemen whose main purpose was to keep the crowd back. The lead vehicle, described as a rolling command car, this was an unmarked Dallas police vehicle driven by Chief of Police Curry. It was occupied by Secret Service agents Sorrells and Lawson, as well as Dallas County Sheriff J.E. Decker. The occupants scanned the crowd and the buildings along the route. Their main function was to spot potential trouble in advance and take any necessary steps to address it. Then came the presidential limousine, followed by several other cars in the back. Kennedy sat in the right rear seat with his wife seated to his left. In front of them, John and Nellie Connolly occupied a jump seat. He sat on the right, Nellie was on the left. Behind the wheel was Secret Service Agent William Greer, while Agent Roy Kellerman, head of the White House detail, sat in the front passenger seat. The motorcade leaves Hotel Texas at 10:40 for Carswell Air Force Base, while Air Force One departs Carswell at 11:20 for Dallas, and both Air Force One and Air Force Two arrive at Love Field at 11:35. There, the Kennedys, along with Texas Governor John Connolly and his wife, disembark and are greeted by Vice President Lyndon Johnson and his wife. At 11:50, several co-workers see Oswald eating lunch on the first floor of the depository, just as the motorcade begins its journey through Dallas from Love Field. At 11:55, the motorcade departs Love Field, delayed slightly by President Kennedy's interactions with supporters in Dealey Plaza. At 12:29 in the afternoon, the motorcade turned onto Houston Street and entered Dealey Plaza. 1 minute later, at 12:30, it made a sharp left onto Elm Street, a downward sloping road. As the limousine entered the plaza, Nellie Connolly turned to the president and said, "Mr. President, it can't make you believe there aren't some in Dallas who love and appreciate you, can they?" Kennedy replied, "No, they sure can't," his final words. According to the Warren Commission report, Lee Harvey Oswald, positioned on the 6th floor of the Texas Schoolbook Depository, had a clear view of President Kennedy's motorcade as it traveled down Houston Street. Surprisingly, he didn't fire immediately. Instead, he waited until the presidential limousine turned onto Elm Street, where his line of sight was partially blocked by trees. The report states that Oswald fired 3 shots from a 6.5mm Mannlicher Carcano rifle. The first shot reportedly ricocheted off a tree branch, landed near a railway bridge, and even struck a bystander. The second and third shots struck the president, with the third proving fatal. Footage analysis suggests Oswald fired all 3 shots in just 8.4 seconds. Here's where it gets controversial. The infamous single bullet theory claims the second shot passed through Kennedy's neck, exited his throat, hit Governor Connolly in the back, traveled through his ribs, took a 45-degree turn, pierced his wrist, and finally lodged in his thigh. Critics mockingly call this the magic bullet theory, arguing the bullet's path, zigzagging through 2 men and 7 layers of clothing, defies basic physics. The third shot struck Kennedy in the head, blowing out the right front of the skull. This horrific moment was captured by Abraham Zapruder, a Dallas dressmaker filming the motorcade at the time. But here's the twist. Multiple witnesses reported seeing a puff of smoke near a grassy knoll by a white picket fence, just feet from where Zapruder stood. This detail fueled conspiracy theories about a second gunman and even a possible 4th shot, contradicting the official narrative. 12:45 p.m. Oswald boards a bus 7 blocks from the Texas Schoolbook Depository, though it's barely moving due to heavy traffic in Dealey Plaza. Shortly after, he disembarks and hails a cab driven by William H. Whaley. The cab takes him to his boarding house, where he changes clothes and retrieves his pistol. 1:15 p.m. While patrolling the Oak Cliff section of Dallas, Officer J.D. Tippett spots someone who fits Oswald's description. Moments later, a civilian's voice crackles over the police radio. It's a police officer. Someone shot him. 1:26 p.m. Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson departs Parkland for Air Force One. As he and Mrs. Lady Bird Johnson leave, she notices the flags lowered half-mast. Assistant White House Press Secretary Mac Kilduff confirms that Kennedy has died. 1:40 p.m. Oswald sneaks into a movie theater showing War is Hell. As police begin to search the theater, the lights are raised and Officer Nick McDonald spots him among the seats. Approaching Oswald, a suspect exclaims, "This is it," and draws a revolver. In the ensuing struggle, Officer McDonald cleverly positions his finger on the pistol's hammer to prevent it from firing. The altercation intensifies when Oswald punches one of the officers, who retaliates with a punch that leaves Oswald with a black eye. The president's body was then transported for autopsy. But here is the controversies with the autopsy. The Warren Commission's case for the single bullet theory hit a snag with Commission Exhibit 397, a diagram of Kennedy's wounds drawn by Dr. Boswell. Though Admiral Berkeley, Kennedy's personal physician, had signed it as verified, his endorsement mysteriously vanished when the diagram was published. Without his signature, the commission avoided questioning Berkeley about inconsistencies, leaving a glaring gap in accountability. Dr. Boswell later backtracked, testifying that the bullet entry point he'd marked too low was actually higher, suddenly aligning with the theory's needs. But science refuses to cooperate. Even if the bullet had entered Kennedy's neck, CT scans reveal a brutal flaw. The shot would have smashed into his cervical vertebrae's bony transverse process, deflecting or mangling the bullet. Yet the pristine bullet presented as evidence showed no such damage, making its alleged path anatomically impossible. In short, the theory hinges on erased signatures, revised testimonies, and a bullet that defies physics, a shaky foundation for history's most infamous conclusion. JFK was assassinated on November 22, 1963. 2 days later, on November 24th, Lee Harvey Oswald was escorted to the basement of Dallas Police Headquarters for transfer to a more secure county jail. The scene was chaotic. Cops, reporters, and live TV cameras crowded the room as Oswald walked in. Suddenly, nightclub owner Jack Ruby lunged from the pack, pulled out a hidden .38 revolver, and shot Oswald dead in front of rolling cameras. Ruby was tackled instantly. He later insisted he'd acted out of grief over Kennedy's death. From 60 to 80,000 JFK files, these four stand out as the most important. This is Central Intelligence Agency relationship with Kennedy uncovered. One document reveals that Schlesinger warned President Kennedy about the CIA's growing influence on American foreign policy. While not directly linked to the assassination, the memo highlights the tense relationship between Kennedy and intelligence agencies. Perhaps the most intriguing piece is a 7-page memo from John Garrett Underhill, which has fueled conspiracy theories suggesting that the CIA played a role in Kennedy's assassination. You can read the full memo yourself with this link in the description. Then here's another one: the CIA's knowledge of Lee Harvey Oswald. For years, the CIA denied having any prior knowledge of Lee Harvey Oswald. They insisted they were not monitoring him, tracking his movements, or intercepting his mail. However, newly released files reveal that Oswald had visited both the Cuban and Russian embassies in Mexico City and had, in fact, been under CIA surveillance. The most shocking revelation is a letter from a man named Sergei, sent to the British embassy, warning the CIA that Oswald had returned to the United States with plans to assassinate President John F. Kennedy. Yet, the agency failed to alert the Secret Service. Had the Secret Service been aware that Oswald was working in the Texas Schoolbook Depository, there's a strong chance Kennedy's motorcade route would have been changed, potentially altering history. We make original 4K 3D animation with a small team of animators, so please support us by subscribing and dropping in a comment for more exclusive engineering animations made just for you guys.